that to someone, God bless you, what's in your mind? What are you asking? What kind of things are you asking God to do for them? Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. That's important, right? We can be persecuted for other things, but for righteousness' sake, theirs is the kingdom of heaven as well. And blessed are when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad when that happens. For your reward, because you might not see the blessing there. You don't look in your feelings and sigh, because you might not feel any blessings going on. You look at the cross, and you know you have a God who loves you so much that he died. And through that suffering love, we are blessed.
So gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
On the water, he said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me."
These are the winds. As far as what we see, if you look at this direction now, everybody see that? You can see the white building. Go to the right, a deep valley with some red rooftops. You see that in a low place, red rooftop? This is where we're going to go after lunch to the Church of the Multiplication, where Jesus created this miracle, feeding the multitude. A building square with an apsis. And the second one holding the transept church. See that? It helped the historian to understand, to make sense of the archaeological finding here, to understand what's what. And of course, that church was built on top of everything. The floor, however, contained those amazing mosaics. Are not painted stones. They are quarried in different shade quarries, and the variety of the shades make this so interesting, so alive picture. Okay, so I'll show you some of them, which is really, really interesting. I will explain about the nilometer here. Have a look at the front and then come around here. By and large, if you look down below your feet, wherever you see very plain mosaic, this is a new one. So this is a good example to talk about original and redone from here. So allowing a person to push it, or a donkey to push or pull it. This is what we call the crusher. Because when you pick up the olives, first thing you have to do is you have to crush them before you start pressing the oil out. So imagine people picking up the olive fruit, they're bringing up and dumping all the olives here. And the animal pulled the crusher, crushing the olive. Not completely, just a little crush to open up the meat of the olive, if you like. And then the next phase is that one over there. They would imagine that you, like the pita bread that we've had, only the slit is in the middle. So basket like that size, like the size of this one, will be made of date palm trees, weaved, and all the crushed olive would be put on those, imagine you, the round pita, but you open it, the slit open, you fill it up with the olive, crushed olive, and you move them, and you pile them on top of each other here, slowly. On it, you put a very big round stone. Now this tool used to have here two vertical poles and connected by a horizontal one with a hole of a screw there, with a big pole. And that would be started to screw and push down the stone on those baskets. Next thing happened, the olives start to float up. You know that in olive you have more than 50% liquid, which is not olive oil, not oil. But the oil floats over. So it comes up into this ring, and then it goes down here to a jar that you put down here. This is how you collect the olive oil. There are different types of oil presses, many different types. One of them is also done with such a way that you can open up a hole with a cork, because down below the water would go down and only the oil stays on the top. So there are different types. This is also dated something like 5th century. 4th, 5th century, where they pressed olive oil in this vicinity. Okay, so oil presses, and I'm going to show you. And this is a baptismal site of Byzantine period. It's beautiful piece carved out of one big piece. It's not built. Okay, it's carved out. And it is not local, because the local stone is the black basalt stone that you see behind you everywhere. Okay, this has been brought here from the mountain of Hebron, Judean mountain. It is believed that such baptismal tools has been used in a mountainous areas to baptize the multitude when they join the churches in early Christianity. You can baptize here 4 people sitting with a full of water, full immersion. And in the mountainous areas next to the churches, they had these baptismal sites or tools. And it has been brought here just to give us an idea how it looked.
Second time not a blizzard.
Yeah. And basically it's related to that part in the New Testament after resurrection, when the disciples came back to Galilee from Jerusalem. One day they were fishing on a lake and they saw a person standing on a beach. and he was actually preparing a charcoal breakfast for them. They did not recognize him first, but this was Jesus standing on the shore. And then he asked them, when they realized that it is him, if they caught anything. They said no, so he said, cast on the other side. Remember the net? And they caught 153 fish, and they brought one of the fish. In short, that is a rock that you see in this picture, which considered the table. Okay? In Latin, they call it mensa Christi, the table of the Lord. On it, the church, that little church, was built. So half of the rock is inside, half of the rock sticking outside. You can see that the visiting Pope, 1964, made an effort to climb on it. Not supposed to climb on it anymore, okay? But so this is a little church considering covering half of table of the Lord where the breakfast was prepared. What we can do here, we go in front of the church. Those of you who want to take a look into the church, of course, we can go down. On the right-hand side, we can do our reading. And after that, we can go to the beach and put our feet in the water if you want to. Take off your shoes and socks. Or if you don't want to, do it with it. Okay? And this is where we convene down here. It's a nice place to go and take a few minutes and think of sharing that event that was taking place here.
Of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee and two others of his disciples were together. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just as day was breaking, Jesus stood on the shore, yet the disciples did not know it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, do you have any fish?" They answered him, "No." He said to them, "Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some."
Are you getting my feet?
Okay. Bruce, did you want to get in with her?
No, he doesn't want to go in. Are you kidding?
Okay.
St. Peter has been discovered, engraved, dated to early Byzantine period, or even before that. And more importantly, we discovered like hundreds of lamps of ancient time, of pieces of clay lamps. I think like 200 or 300 lamps like that has been discovered at the bottom of that place. The big deal is not about them, it's about the date. It's dated to maybe 3rd or 2nd century. What does it tell us? It was already a worshipping place, maybe 150 years before the first church ever built in Jerusalem, 4th century. Remember 325, St. Helen built the first church. This was worshipped already maybe 150 years before that. And this is what makes that place very substance, very powerful.
to say that it's not just according to tradition, it has some more taste to it, to say this is a place, the house, and of course you can see the structure around these old ruins, and the synagogue, which is 3-layer synagogue. Okay, we got that, we understand that? Let's walk toward the synagogue, be from the time of Jesus synagogue, 1st century. Okay, so let's go inside, look at the pit, see this thing, and then we discuss a few more things in there. On the right-hand side, this is just quarters of the city or the village of Capernaum, living quarters. And if you come around this corner, you can see this pit I was talking about, 3-4 feet below the by a third. Okay? You can see that those short columns used to be like that. And in the corner you can see those special columns that look like a heart shape. How you imagine it, if you cut it, you look from above, you can see it has in a corner 90 degrees and then 2 half round to compensate for that column and that column. You get my drift? I hope? Heart-shaped columns. And here in this synagogue, we still see some of the old seats around. People would sit not like churches in rows, but around. So these are made of cement, okay, but you can see some of the ancient one here, limestone. Okay, the white one are limestone. And we are moving, after we take some pictures, to that room here. Every male has to taught the Hebrew from the age of 4. So father's duty was to teach his son reading and writing. That was done in the schools adjacent to each synagogue. Okay? Many of the miracles that we read in the book taking place in that very synagogue. Of course, not in that level of the sect, but lower level. Casting demons, healing people, all those things we can read when we sit down under the trees over there. Okay? Walk with me this way.
Preaching the word to them. And they came, bringing to him a paralytic carried by 4 men. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him. And when they had made an opening, they let him down. They let down the bed on which the paralytic lay. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven."
While he was saying these things to them, behold, a ruler came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." And Jesus rose and followed him with his disciples. And behold, a woman who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his garment, I will be well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well.
Prisoners turning blindness into sight, praise the one who preached the gospel, healing every dread disease, calming storms and feeding thousands with the very bread of peace.
Synagogue. In every synagogue today that you may have visited, you see that there is an area for women, an area for men. And when we go to the Western Wall and some, I don't know, tomb of David or Rachel, there is Orthodox Judaism has a separation location for men to pray apart from women. Have you heard of that? We wonder why, but of course the common going is that a man cannot concentrate with all his heart, with all his soul, with all his might, when a beautiful lady is standing next to him. Okay? So that is behind it. And this is nuts, but you'll see in the Western Wall, when we'll go to the Wailing Wall, you'll see that there's a section for ladies to go and men to go. So this is what it's all about, those staircases over there. When I come here with people, I always, and after hearing all the pieces that we read, come to your mind the question, why here? Is there a logic behind picking Capernaum to be the headquarters to where he started his ministry? What is the logic behind it? There must be a reason. So, I don't know if you heard or read or something, but there are two common ideas why here from all places. First of all, geographically, this is a border town. We are very close to the Jordan River, which was the border between the kingdom of Herod Antipas, and the other side is the kingdom of Philip. I'm going to demonstrate it with this map that you gave me for a minute, and then we'll discuss what's the big deal about it. So this is a map that you all have. We are close here. This is the Jordan River. Everybody see that? This is Antipas territory, this is Philip. Okay, so we are right here, maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles away from the Jordan River when it flows in, marking the border between the two territories. Okay? So what's the big deal about border town? First of all, how do we know it was a border town? Very simple. We read mentioned one of the healing of the boy or the servant or the man of the centurion. A centurion is a commander of 100 soldiers. What does he do here in this remote, poor fisherman village? Collecting what? His law and order, giving tickets to the people? No, we think he has duties on the border, crossing border security. And we just mentioned Matthew, that named one of the disciples. Where he from? Where did he live? Right here. And what was his duty as a tax collector? Not getting taxes from the fishermen, duties at the border, okay, between the two countries. So I want to talk about the difference of synagogues before 70, the destruction of the temple, and after 70. There's great difference. Synagogue in Hebrew is called Beit Knesset, house of gathering. It was not house of prayer. And basically, please, pastors, correct me if I'm wrong, all the reading that we do, when Jesus, whatever he did in the synagogue, we don't read that he prayed in the synagogue, right? He read from the scroll of Isaiah, he taught, he talked, he cast demons, he made many miracles, but never we mention, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can remember, no praying in the synagogues, because praying were not done here. Jewish people would go to Jerusalem for all religious rituals 3 times a year. It was done in one place, at the temple. Those was house of gathering, okay? Synagogues, house of God, they become later on. First phase was house of gathering. And passers-by come to the synagogue. And this is where miracle will take place, reading will take place. People would come to this place, unlike Roman towns like in Beit Shan, they come to the synagogue, to the bathhouse to tell the news. It will be done here, in the house of gathering in each synagogue, in each village. So what happened in the year 70 when the Roman destroyed the temple? Judaism was almost collapsed. It is like, just to make a comparison, it's like cut out the heart of the body, because majority of those laws were no longer possible to perform because the temple was gone. So it's Judaism saved by one man, that his name is the Rivaz, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who escaped Jerusalem, according to Josephus, by the way, either dressed as a woman or in a coffin, and with the consent of the Romans, he gathered 70 young rabbis into a town which is called Yavne, near the Mediterranean, and he wrote down a set of prayers that came in instead of those 613 laws, okay? No more sacrifices, no more rituals, no more whatever went in a temple. Instead of those, prayer book that still are in force today. And this is when synagogues started to change. And if you come forward to this capital, we see something very interesting. What do you see on the top there? A what? A menorah again. You remember the capital in Caesarea with the cross? So, the same capitals, Corinthian, But inside you can see this shofar of plenty. You know, like, you know what I'm talking about? On the right hand side, it is another third very important emblem that has been carved in many engravements and many decorations. What do you make of this? Come around, people, come closer. What do you make of that? Hey? Yes, what is this? Yes, the temple. Now look below the temple, what do you see? Wheels. Wheels. So a temple with a wheel, does it give you ring a bell? Okay, remember that when the Ark of the Covenant fell in the hands of the Philistines after the fight in Ebenezer, and when the two sons of Eli died in this war, the Ark of the Covenant taken captive by the Philistines, and they took it into the temple of Dagon, and each place he fell on his face. We all remember that story, until the Philistines got sick and tired of this event, and what they did, they put it on a coals. You will find all the 7 species. Here is two other sets of pomegranate and grapes. One more thing to see here, and then we're heading out of the bus. It's a long drive. We can go to the toilet. We'll try to stop in the middle somewhere to have another break for that purpose.